Right, so hello to anybody watching this. I'm Victoria Green, natural juice therapist and clarity coach. With me in this second episode of What If You Didn't Have to Be Ill, I'm joined by Jason Bray. And thank you very much, Jason, for agreeing to do this. I know we've had a little bit of trouble
I
setting
had
this
nothing
up.
else planned from a Monday night, so this is cool.
Excellent, thank you. So just to share again a little bit about the reason for doing these and everything, I just wanted to, because we trained as natural juice therapists and stuff, and we've like gone through some of the juice detoxes and things like that, and sort of overall our health basically, and I just wanted, but not everyone is aware of that or knows that that's possible, and a lot of people feel kind of stuck in their circumstances and stuck with their conditions. And so I just wanted to share in some like brief little videos just kind of what's possible if people wanted to start experimenting. So I wondered if you could share a bit about kind of what your health used to be like.
Okay, yeah, sure. Well, for the first 23 years of my life, really, I can't ever really remember feeling that well, to be honest. All the way as a youngster through like infant school and most of junior school, I had epilepsy. I was in and out of hospital all the time then. That's pretty much all I can remember of most of my childhood, because of the epilepsy. Pretty much from the age of 10, I can't really remember anything of my life, to be honest, but I just remember going into hospitals a lot and having these weird tests done on me where I had to wear this like strange helmet with wires coming out of it and being hooked up to machines. And at the age of kind of like 6 years old and stuff, that was, that was pretty terrifying. It was horrible. And through my teens, I just pretty much on a monthly basis, I was plagued with tonsillitis, and I started to put on weight when I was in secondary school. But the tonsillitis, near enough monthly, kept me out of school until I had my tonsils out at age 15, I think it was. At the age of 17, my mum passed away, and I pretty much kind of hit rock bottom. At 17, that's quite young. Needed my mum around me at 17. I still do at age 30. I don't think we ever get to a point where we don't. And I just kind of went in really into a pretty crazy self-destructive pattern mentally, and that led me to eat a lot. And my weight really kind of went through the roof. And with that, literally like a perfect line, as the weight escalated, my health deteriorated, and I developed asthma, eczema. I used to get constant nosebleeds, and that happened from a young age as well, my teens. And with like the asthma, I was prone to chest infections. So if ever I just got a normal little cold, that would always literally end up going down into my chest, and that would end up to be a chest infection that then last me like weeks until I shifted that. And then eventually, to cut a massively long story short, I went to the doctors one day and she diagnosed me with asthma, and that was kind of at the age of 23, 22, 23. I was 18 and a half stone, and things were really starting to go wrong.
So when did you start looking at all that? When did that change, kind of thing?
Sure. I'm gonna try and keep this as short as I can because otherwise if I was to explain the whole scenario of how like this started to change, we would literally need all night. But it was literally when I got diagnosed with that asthma. I think it was at the age of 23. I got diagnosed. I think it was in 2009. I think I'd had asthma for a couple of years before I actually got diagnosed. I actually went to the doctors a year before and asked to be tested because my dad had suffered with asthma for, I don't know, 20 years or 25 years. And he said, Jay, I think you got asthma, mate. You got the same sort of symptoms as I have. And the first time I went to the doctors, he said no and just kind of, like threw it out the window. But when I actually properly got diagnosed, that was kind of when, alarm bells really started, sort of ringing in my head. I was like, okay, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. And now you're getting diagnosed with asthma, Jace, and you're starting to really get some serious eczema coming up your arms and stuff. This could be a little warning sign, apart from the massive warning sign I'd always had, this massive belly screaming at me saying, stop, what are you doing? Now I'm actually starting to see other things go wrong at the same time. So that's kind of what got me thinking a little bit about, I should slow down and start to look after myself. But the actual whole story of how I properly changed it's a lot more involved. I don't know how long we've got and how much you want me to cut stuff down.
No, okay, so let's look at like how are you now? Like, do you still get eczema? Do you still suffer from asthma? I didn't know you'd had epileptic fits when you were younger. I didn't know that.
I know. Obviously, you done the interview with Kelly Gill.
Yeah.
And she spoke of her epilepsy. Now, mine wasn't as severe as hers, but I would have. I think like we had to keep a little record book of how many fits I had a day, and I'm pretty sure that my family have told me, because again I can't remember a thing of any of this, because when you have epilepsy, every time you have a fit, you just forget the rest of the day. That's what it was like for me. So my family said that I used to have like about 80 fits a day, but they were very small. They were just little shakes like that. But it would be enough that it would completely throw me out of where I was and what I was doing at the time. And there were times where I was sat at the dinner table eating dinner with my family, and I'd have a fit, and I'd get up out my chair and go to walk off, and my mum would say, Jace, yeah, your dinner. Oh yeah, and then get back on the chair and start eating my dinner, and I'll just be completely, just wouldn't know, where I was and what had happened that previous day. So, so that's, like I say, when I think back, as my health, like I say, I was in and out of hospital all the time, as a youngster, but I actually grew out of that. That they finally found a medicine that helped and that worked really well. I can't remember its name or anything really about it, but I think my last ever fit was in 1995. So that was so I would have been in year 5 or 4 of junior school. So I didn't really start learning that much until years 4 or 5 of junior school. So that's like a year or 2 before senior.
Wow.
So it kind of threw me. I lost. I mean, my handwriting now is still abysmal. I can read and write and spell. I can read and spell very well, and the grammar and everything, but the actual handwriting itself, I can barely read it. So that's still an effect to this day, of that. Yeah.
So now, what is your health like now? Okay.
Amazing. To be honest. Yeah. So in 2009, I got diagnosed with the asthma, and then a whole series of events happened. I think it was about March 2009, and then from March 2009 until the Christmas of 2009, a whole series of like these weird events like happened. And when I got diagnosed with asthma, I decided that I was going to change the job I was in, which I'd done, because it was a long commute, it was long hours, it was stressful, and and all that. So I decided to change my job, which I did. And with the new job that was closer to my home and was paying more money, I decided to join the gym, because I was like, right, that's it. I'm going to get myself fit and healthy. I'm just going to go down the gym and absolutely smash workouts, and just kill myself, exercising. And that actually helped shift, I'd say, about half a stone, just from pure hammering on a treadmill and on the actual, weight machines and stuff. But I didn't actually do anything to change my diet. And even though I'd lost that half a stone in weight, I was still getting the chest infections, I was still getting the nosebleeds, the earaches. The asthma and the eczema were still there, and they weren't improving at all. And the asthma was actually making the exercise, quite hard. On the Christmas of 2009, between the Christmas and the New Year, I caught this horrendous virus, which I actually think, because of the person I caught it off, went to their doctors and actually got diagnosed with swine flu. I think that the person who I'd spent that Christmas with, I think it may have actually been swine flu that I caught. And it was the worst, virus I'd ever had in my life. And there was just one point I was just kind of laying in bed, shivering and sweating. And I was just there was one point where I was like, this is it. I was like, I've had it. I was like, I've never felt that ill in my life. So I had some time off. It was quite scary, yeah. But I mean, I didn't know at the time. I just thought, man flu, this is what guys always say whenever they get ill. It probably was just a cold, I don't know. But at that time, when I was ill at home, I was feeling really down. And that month leading up to that Christmas, I'd had a pretty bad back issue. I don't know. So I don't know if you just saw that notification on my phone. Maybe. Good. Sorry. I'd had this bad back issue, and a chiropractor basically done in 3 weeks what I would say the medical profession didn't do in kind of 6 years. I had this ongoing back issue. A friend who I saw down the gym recommended to me to go to a chiropractor to, have my back checked out. And I was like, what the heck's a chiropractor? I was like, I've never heard of this. I was like, what's that? So I went along that day, and within about 3 or 4 treatments, my back was just feeling completely, it was just remarkable, without any medication, any, operations or anything. Through manipulation, massage, and give me, a list of yoga poses to do, my back was feeling, 100 times better. It was incredible. So when I was ill with that flu, whatever it was at Christmas, I'd already started to think, well, this chiropractor sorted my back pain without any medication, and the usual treatment. He just done it with, with massage and manipulation and, adjustments. I started to think, well, maybe there's another way, a different way that I can sort my health out. And at the time, there was this website, it's not around anymore, but it had documentaries, really alternative documentaries to watch for free on it. And I was really into all the alien stuff, all the aliens and things. And I was watching all that. And one day, this is when I was off, when I was sick, I sort of went down the list, and there was a health section for health films. And I thought, well, look, you know what? Let's have a look what these, crazy hippies, have to say, or whatever, And I clicked on the health thing, and there was a big list of films. And the first one that I clicked on, just by sheer fluke, was a film called Food Matters.
Yeah.
And I remember that day I was sat, really feeling all sorry for myself, watching on my laptop, watching this film. And I think it's a pretty long film. It's about 2 hours. And by the time this film had finished, I was sat there And I was just like, right, what the hell was that they just told me? I was like, well, no one's ever told me, that before, about what vitamins can do to help, treat and prevent illness and to heal the body. No one's told me about this thing called spirulina, and noni and maca and cacao. No one's told me about juicing and all these things that they go through in this film. And I was just like, okay, well, no one's ever told me that in school. My parents never told me, my doctor, the politicians, the TV, the magazines. I've never heard that before. It completely blew my mind. And I remember just playing the whole thing again, because I was like, I can't take all that in, what was just said. I was just like, this is, that was crazy. So after watching that film, that kind of week, I started thinking to myself, and I started going on their website and reading more and more. And I started off by just ordering like 3 superfood powders, cacao, maca and spirulina. And they came through the door, and it was quite funny because the day they come through the door, I was opening them in the kitchen, and my dad, was like, what are these powders coming through the doors, Jace? Like, it's legal this time, and I was like, don't worry about it. I was like, I'm just trying to get healthy. And he was like, oh, can I do it? And I just said, no, you don't have to. And he was like, well, I want to know if I'm killing myself too. So we both started it at the same time. We both just started just putting in water straight, like just spirulina, cacao, and maca.
Tasty.
Yeah, and it was like, the first time I did it, he was actually, because we both worked nights at the time, and he was in bed, and I had, my previous job before that, I was an aquatic manager. And when I first watched Food Matters, I thought, spirulina, I was like, I've heard of that. I was like, that's the food we give to the fish as a supplement. It's meant to be like the greatest food you could ever give to fish. And I was like, I was downstairs in my living room, and I was like, I can't believe I'm going to be
eating fish food.
Green slime. I was like, should I go and wake my dad up? I was like, what if I drink this and I drop down dead? I was like, what am I doing? And I was like, I was so desperate. I was just so fed up of feeling, as they say, I was sick and tired of feeling sick and tired. I was just so desperate to try something. And, so me and my dad, we both started at the same time, taking these superfoods and stuff. And our diets, my diet at the time wasn't great, but I started just buying some spinach and having that. I was still having like microwave chili con carnes, but I was putting spinach and broccoli in with it. It was just tiny, tiny adjustments. And then after about a month or two, once I'd saved the money, I went to buy a juicer. And even within those first 2 months of just taking superfoods and adding, some fruit and veg into my diet, the eczema just slightly started changing and getting better. And I noticed in the mirror that there was a tone coming back into my face, which I'd never had. Now, this was like January of 2010. And when I looked back at like my biggest weight pictures, I had a bigger tan in January than what I did in the August. I could see colour and stuff coming back into my face. So eventually, like I say, I went and brought a juicer and started juicing in February 2010. I think it was around there, February, March. And once I added that with the exercise and eating better and better, researching, reading books, internet more and more, my health just started getting better and better, and the weight just started tumbling.
It's amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry to go on. I did say
no. This I didn't. So this is about kind of what people need to do to change their health. It's just kind of sharing some of the changes that people have experienced. But I didn't interrupt you because I find it fascinating, kind of the moment when people realise that, there's something I could be doing, because you're right. It's not something that we grow up with. It's not just common knowledge, and I think it should be. I think we should be so much more aware of all the tiny, as you said, just tiny little things that we could be doing that make such a big difference.
That's it, absolutely.
Yeah. So what is it like now? Like, do you get eczema at all, or do you still have to use your inhaler?
No, I mean, so I'd say, I mean, I would say that the asthma, when I started juicing with like doing a lot of cardio exercise, the asthma just pretty much went near enough within like a month or two. Yeah, I
Mm.
couldn't believe it. I just felt myself getting better and better and using the inhaler less and less. I was quite nervous about not using it and not keeping it on me. Um, but I would literally say within about 2 month period, I was pretty much I'd finished using that inhaler. The eczema literally retreated down my arm. It was up my arm, but it was worse in between like my fingers, and that literally just like a wave just disappeared from my arms, and it took a while to go from my knuckles, but I would say a max of 6 months, pushing it like tops, that was gone. Um, the weird thing that's fascinating for me as well, which I didn't realize at the time, because I didn't plan any of this. Like when I first started, when I saw that film and I started doing what I was doing, I was just determined to try something different. I was determined to be relaxed about it, because all my life I'd done the big famous diets, plans, and groups that everyone knows about. I don't want to mention. I don't want us to get sued, but like the ones that everyone goes to and does. And I'd done them all through my life, and I'd lost weight, but they never taught to eat healthy. They've got their ways that you can cut corners and not eat a lot, but eat the rubbish you want on certain days. So the difference here was that I was actually adding in more food. I mean, I started eating foods that I'd never eaten like my whole life. For the first 20 years of my life, my vegetable intake weekly, my mum tried her hardest, bless her heart, to get me to eat veg, and I wouldn't do it. And all I would eat once a week this is honest truth, was one floret of broccoli on my massive roast dinner. And that was my veg intake. The rest of my diet, the rest of the week, I would drink pints of milk, pints of Carton Pure Orange with beans on toast. That was a healthy favourite whenever I did diets in the past. That was my healthy dinner, beans on toast. Chips, pizza, beans, burgers, just the junk food. And that was seriously for, the rest of the week for 23 years, that is all I would eat. And if I remember, when my mum would be dishing up a roast dinner, if she'd use like the same ladle to get the broccoli out as the peas, and one pea had dropped on my plate, I would just be like, and get that off my plate, freaking out. I was just determined, not to eat food. So when I started adding these superfoods and the juices and buying all these different fruits and vegetables and consuming them, the amount of actual foods and ingredients that I started eating just went through the roof, and I'd never done that before. So the difference this time, instead of taking stuff out of my diet, I was actually cramming loads in, adding so much. Our fridge was getting full, our cupboards were getting full, and we could see like a big shift of the healthy stuff cramming out the crap. It took like over the course of 6 months. We were like, like I said, me and my dad done this together, and I'll go back. But the fascinating thing is with this is that me and my dad both had asthma, we both had eczema, and we both had digestion problems. My dad won't mind me saying it, I've asked for his permission, but he had constipation for years, terrible constipation for years. Now, we both look very similar, we're both the same height, you'd say we've both got the same genetics, but we both ate the same diet, and we both had asthma, respiratory problem, eczema, skin problem, and a digestion issue. His was constipation, mine was the opposite in a lot of ways. We both started literally eating healthier exactly the same time. I still live with him. So we both started eating the same foods at the same time, and both got the same results. Both of us now are here. His took longer, but we are both sat here now without any asthma, any eczema, and no digestion issues. Now, his took longer. He had asthma and eczema for 25 years, the same time as what he had the constipation. All three things. It's just, showing you, like I said, the respiratory issues, skin, digestion, all linked, and all three, both of us, receded. And now he's retiring in 10 days, going to be 65, and he says he feels better than when he was 40. So again, I didn't realise it at the time what we were doing, and I haven't actually realised this until probably about a year or so ago when I looked back and I was like, wow, we've actually, by fluke, conducted a really cool experiment, scientific or whatever, where people, even still now, would have looked at us and went, oh, you both, got the same genes, you both look the same, oh, you're both just podgy, you're fat because of your, oh, you caught your dad's belly or whatever. I mean, he wasn't as big as me, but his illnesses were worse than mine, and they took a longer to go. But the two of us now have both got rid of all of that, and the nosebleeds, he had the same as well.
And I think that's really important observation there, because a lot of people do think it's something that they're just stuck with, that has been passed down in the family, like my mum's got it and her mum's got it, so I've got it, kind of thing, and don't look beyond that, and yeah, so that is amazing. I just think that, do you know what I love about that? Did you say your dad was coming up to 65 now?
Yeah, he's retiring in 10 days. He can't wait.
Yeah, but I know for myself the amount of energy I've got now compared to when I was younger, and how exciting and full of life that makes you feel. And I just think, how amazing is that for your dad to feel that?
It is. He goes on bike rides and stuff now. He's signed up. He's doing a walk with me in June to walk a marathon, like the whole Ridgeway.
Yeah.
27 miles. He's signed up to that, and he's really looking forward to retirement and stuff. And there was one point, I don't know, he says, he listened to what I said to do. I mean, but he says, he says, Jace, if it wasn't for you, I don't know what state I'd be in. I don't know. I have no idea, what state both of us would have been in. But yeah, it's an incredible, thing to see. But with him, like I say, the illnesses, the asthma and the eczema, it went down to a point, but the main thing, especially his asthma, getting him off cheese and milk, dairy, was huge. It wasn't trying to get him off of cheese, was literally like getting someone off of heroin. Literally, he was that addicted. It was like, I could see him getting better and better. And I was also, as well as the juicing, I also practice a lot of orthomolecular medicine, which is like vitamin therapy, which is what I got from Andrew Saul in the film Food Matters. And the vitamin C helped him loads with his asthma. But I must say, it was once he gave up the cheese, I could see his asthma massively. It got a lot better.
Yeah, quite inflammatory, isn't it? But yeah, thank you. So just before, like, we wrap up, because you mentioned you were going on a walk with your dad, and I know, didn't you do the 3 peaks?
I did, yeah. I mean, yeah, I do all this sort of crazy stuff now. A couple of years ago, I was doing like Spartan races, like the really extreme obstacle races where you you crawl through a trough of ice while someone's burying you in that ice, whilst there's these metal wires that are connected to
Well,
car
it doesn't sound fun at all.
but, you know, I mean, once I started exercising, I started getting this body that allowed me to do stuff. This was the first time in my life I was able to do it. So I felt like a kid that's just learnt to walk, and I still feel that. And yeah, this summer I done the Welsh and the National 3 Peak Challenge with all my Mother Nature's Diet clan. I've got to mention it.
Oh,
But yeah, you know, so that was great fun. And there is just, before we wrap up, there's one thing I just want to get across as well to anyone watching this. Is people, they always ask me about the weight, you know, losing 8 stone in weight. That was phenomenal and it feels great, don't get me wrong, but of all this journey, whatever I think of, I can't believe, it's actually how happy I am now. It's how clear my mind is now, how at peace my mind is now. I can't ever, people, if they ever go onto my, website, Mad Juicer, and they look at my before and after pics, my belly and stuff, they go, wow, and people love that. And I get that, but I would love to be able to show people a before and after of my mind.
yeah.
Because, like I say, after when my mum passed away those few years, my mind was in a dark place and it was a destructive, horrible place. And I didn't think that just by changing my diet, that this could even change my mind, if that made sense. I mean, there's a lot more to it than that. I do a lot of meditation and I hang around with Buddhist monks and do gardening with them. I do, all this crazy hippie stuff. There's a lot to it. It's not just, I didn't just spring out of bed one day like, ta-da, and I was changed. It was a slow process and tried a lot of different things out. But that's the main thing for me, is how happy I am and confident in myself. It's an incredible feeling. And even now, still, I can't believe it. I still sometimes, I'm sitting here now thinking, what the hell? 7 years ago, I was a wreck, and now I'm sitting here having an interview about health. What is that about? It's just like, what the hell is going on? And I still, it's happened so fast. And I always think to myself, for 23 years, I poisoned my body and I was bad to it. I treated it really bad. And, well, within the first 6 months, it rewarded me. And, 7 years of treating it right, the way it's rewarded me has just been phenomenal. It could have took 23 years before I could have expected anything from it, to be fair. So 23 years I treated it bad, and 7 it's rewarded me massively. I'm not out of the woods yet. I've still got a lower tire in my lower belly, and I've got a bit of visceral fat that I still need to get rid of. But the way my body has rewarded me in 7 years, it's an incredible machine. And I look back at what I was putting into it, food-wise, alcohol, cigarettes, and the rest of it.
And it still kept you going.
How it kept me alive, it was screaming, it said, it put it all in my belly. It was giving me asthma and eczema, and it was just like, God, when is this guy ever going to get a wake-up call and see what I'm trying to tell him? All these things are screaming in my face, stop what you are doing, because this is going to eventually end up as a bowel cancer, as a whatever. And that's, so for anyone thinking about starting, people always try and do diets to, get rid of the weight quick, and they might expect to do this quickly, but no one ever got sick in a rush, so I think people need to remember that and just relax about it. Day by day, do your best. If you slip up and have a cake, don't fall off the wagon and freak out. Have the cake, enjoy it. Just make sure when you get home or the next morning, you get up, you have a juice, start again. Just keep going. Keep doing that day by day, and you'll get better.
Yeah. I love what you mentioned earlier about it, just like add the good stuff in. It, like just keep adding that, and it's just lots of little steps, isn't it? lots of little
Yeah.
steps.
That's it. Absolutely.
And before you know it, you're in a completely different place.
Yeah, it is. It creeps up on you. You get to a point where you are like, you notice you know, you got more energy. You notice you ran for that bus or you ran up the stairs, and you're like, oh, what was that? You know, it gets really addictive. And you know, people, the problem with healthy eating and exercise, the TV and everything else, it just hammer it as being boring and stuff. And I know it's hard, but people, you know, sort of look at me suppliers, and I say it's really addictive, feeling good. Like you like it. Does that make sense? It's quite strange to people, like, but yeah.
Totally is. I remember like when I first ran half a marathon, and I could never run. I couldn't run a mile without stopping. When I first ran half a marathon, I was like, oh my God, why would anyone want to run a marathon? and then the next thing is you're putting your name down. And it's just like, yeah, it is.
Excellent.
It's totally addictive. But thank you. Thank you loads for sharing that, Jason. And I think you've mentioned, but I was going to say, if anybody had any questions or wanted to ask you more about it, can they message you or email or go to your website or something?
Yeah, I mean, they can go to my website, which is madjuicer.co.uk.
Yeah.
The reason why I call myself the Mad Juicer is all my life everyone was calling me, was always said I'm mad for the crazy stuff I do, like obstacle races where I get electric shocked. People said I was mad when I started drinking algae, and you know, people thought I was mad when I do the 3 peaks and go to Egypt where there's bombs going off and all this. So when I thought of the name, I thought, oh, Mad Juicer sounds quite good. So madjuicer.co.uk. At the bottom of that page, there'll be a link to my Facebook page where you could search that, Mad Juicer, or add my personal, Jason Bray, B-R-A-Y. I don't mind. I take messages and stuff. And if you go to my website, there's a My Story section where I write the whole story, all the way from when I was young with the epilepsy, all the way through to the chiropractor and the rest of it. There's so much more to explain about how I made that transition, but like I'd be here all night and I'd end up with a sore throat again. So you know, people can read that and get the full story, and there's tips about what I eat and what I juice and stuff on there.
Brilliant, thank you.
All right.
And yeah, just thank you. And like I say, it's all about just showing people what's possible, and them taking it from there, really.
That's it.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, we'll talk soon.
All right, take care, Victoria.
Bye.